So Kathy, I don't know if she let you know.
She
She
did.
okay,
Yeah, she did. We were on the phone.
okay.
Yeah. Shauna, can you turn on the English captions? Hi, tomorrow.
Because they're always such a great source of entertainment.
Yeah, mainly because we we are entertained by them. But
On Talmud, we had like Arabic captions last time because the music, which was before the lesson, was a little bit Mizrahi.
oh, okay. Yeah, the when you say Hebrew words and you put English captions, it's very very entertaining what you end up with. Okay, welcome everyone as you come in. We're gonna start the service in a few minutes. Welcome, Peter.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, we usually start this service a few minutes after the 7:30. We wait. Yeah, we wait till like 7 till more people show up.
It's the same around the world, I guess.
Yes, it is.
Mhm.
A lot of new people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. We'll start in a few minutes at around 7:35. Meanwhile, feel free to unmute yourself um, and um, and schmooze as you like.
Hey, hey, Sybil, Leah.
I'm Sybil. Where's Sybil? Oh, she's
No photo.
okay. Okay.
Sybil's here.
So
Sybil's here, but no photo, right?
okay. Let's see. Usually,
Okay. We'll start
I
in just a minute or two.
yeah. I hope other people didn't go to the.
Yeah, me too. But it was pretty clear that it was online. It said online.
That's another thing I'll bring up in Shabbat committee. I think the online in person thing needs to be vastly bigger and cleaner, aligned with our previous thing about how nobody reads.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know how much clearer can you get when it says online Shabbat in the headline and the first three words that you read.
Font, different colors for on. I mean, I'm not an expert in this kind of thing. I'm serious.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah, why not? Okay, we're at 7:35. We're gonna start our service. I'm pretty sure other people are planning to show up, but nonetheless, let's begin. Since I'm going to be talking quite a bit with Eyal, I'm not going to really talk very much now. I just want to welcome you. I hope everyone is having a good summer. a good second half of the summer. I'm right now not in at home. As you can tell, I don't have my virtual background. I actually have a real background, a book, also book lined, because I'm at my parents' house and my parents have like 8,000 books. But nonetheless, it is, it's not where I usually am. So if a child's, there are, presently 5 children wandering around here. If one of them comes in, don't be alarmed. It's not their usual environment either. Okay, so with that in mind, let us begin our service. We will start with our song Naaseh Shalom. Let me share the screen. Okay, 1 second. And we will, 1 second, 51. Here we go.
Great. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Naaseh Shalom ba'olam, Naaseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol ha'olam, v'imru shalom. Naaseh Shalom ba'olam, Naaseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol ha'olam, v'imru shalom. Naaseh Shalom, Naaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Naaseh Shalom, Naaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Naaseh Shalom, Naaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Naaseh Shalom, Naaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam.
Thank you, Rebecca. We now start our service with a welcome. Rich.
The past, present, and future are timelessly linked in the spinning circle of life. Our past was the seed that became the present. We can make it bloom in the future if we nurture it with love, respect, and understanding of the shared culture and heritage that we call life. We gather tonight as Jews have long gathered to create Shabbat. Let us pause from our everyday lives to make it a special time. Let us put aside the demands, expectations, and pace of our daily existence to celebrate Shabbat. Let the possibilities of this time together be embraced. Let every potential for wisdom, harmony, and joy be realized. Shabbat is a time for peace, contemplation, introspection, understanding, and hope. It is a time for love, laughter, and joy to be shared by all gathered here. Shabbat is a time for learning about the goodness of life, for reaffirming our identity and our beliefs. It is a time for having the courage to express the best within us. Let us grasp these moments and cherish them.
Thank you, Rich. We now turn to our candle lighting. If you have candles and would like to participate in this, please feel very welcome. We renew ourselves for the week ahead so that we will have strength for ourselves, our families, and our part in making the world a better place. We kindle the lights of Shabbat as symbols of human enlightenment and human compassion to celebrate our coming together to illuminate our lives in the warmth we find in our community. We remember the generations before us who lit candles as we do and found beauty and serenity in their light. Let us say together, Na'eh ha'or ba'olam, Na'eh ha'or ba'adam, Na'eh ha'or ba'shabbat, Nokir et or ha'shabbat. How wonderful is the light in the world, how wonderful is the light within humanity, how wonderful is the light of Shabbat. We cherish the light of Shabbat.
Na'eh ha'or ba'olam, Na'eh ha'or ba'adam, Na'eh ha'or ba'shabbat, Nokir et or ha'shabbat. Eifo ori, ori bi, Eifo tikvati, tikvati bi, Eifo my strength is in me, and in you, and in you.
Thank you, Rebecca. On Shabbat, we celebrate and reaffirm our Jewish identity. A Jew is someone who identifies with the history, culture, and future of the Jewish people. We make connections to our past through our ancestors and to our future by leading meaningful lives. We believe that Jewish identity is best preserved in a free, pluralistic environment that honors all cultures. We believe in the nobility of human fellowship and the joy of unity. The freedom and dignity of the Jewish people must go hand in hand with the freedom and dignity of every human being. Human beings possess the power and responsibility to shape their lives independent of supernatural authority. Jewish history is a human saga, a testament to the significance of human power and human responsibility. We believe in the gift of human reason and the strength of human potential to shape our own lives. Okay, we move to our next song, Amar Rabbi Akiva.
Great. Let me know if you want me to wait. Yes. Beautiful. Amar Rabbi Akiva, Amar Rabbi Akiva, Ve'ahavta l'reacha, l'reacha kamoka, Ze klar gadol, gadol b'Torah, Amar Rabbi Akiva.
Okay, so we're gonna stop share for a moment, and now I invite people to just to share how things are going. So I'll start us off. I'm presently in Toronto. My special needs child, for the first time in his life, was, or at least first time in 5 years, was in an environment with neurotypical campers at the Royal Ontario Museum, and he did very well, and it's a milestone for him, and he just finished 2 weeks, and we're very, very proud of him. So for me, that was the greatest accomplishment of the past couple of weeks. Anybody else would like to share? Just unmute yourself. I can't see. I'm not on my regular computer, so I can't see people as well.
News.
Yeah, Dahlia, Howard.
I don't have any particular news except that things are going very well for both me and Howard.
Yeah.
Most in a long time. Oh, I know what I will give news.
Climb up the stairs.
If any of you know the 125th Street station, Metro North, we were very, very tight in catching the train to Isabel's for the barbecue, and Howard walked quickly up all of the stairs.
To make it by the skin of our teeth, but my heart is good.
Wonderful. Well, that is so wonderful to hear, Howard. How fast you have recovered, and how well you're doing.
Thank you, Tema. Thank you.
And for the hospital visits, thank you.
Anna, did you want to share something? You're unmuted.
Who?
You, Anna.
Oh.
You're unmuted, so I thought you wanted to share something. It's okay. You don't have to. You don't have to share anything.
Well, there's one frustrating thing and one good thing. The frustrating thing is a few months ago I got a new printer, and I'm an artist. The printer is very important for me, and then it wasn't working, and I had to send it back all the way to California, and I got another one, and I am a technophobe, unfortunately, and I'm just very nervous about it. I have to call these people up and ask them how to use it. I lose sleep over this. So
I'm sorry, Anna. You're here. You managed to log on to Zoom.
I'm not good at technology. I don't have a talent for it. So it's very anxiety provoking for me. I mean, what kind of crazy person these days would lose sleep over a stupid printer? That would be me.
I'm sorry. So that was your frustrating thing. What's your better thing?
The better thing is, so I've been, coming for a number of months to 86th Street and, to meetings. And it's, I'm a child of Holocaust survivors, and this is what's going on is very traumatizing for me.
Yeah.
And I am not a believer, although I have an extensive Jewish education. My father was a rabbi. And so I have decided that I want to become a member.
Well, thank you. Welcome, Anna.
So, yeah, so and Sybil, can you hear me? Is she here?
She's here. Yeah, she can hear.
Because she's not answering.
I'm about to say, welcome, welcome. I'm delighted because I love your contributions every week.
She had approached me a number of months ago, and I wasn't sure. So can I have your number, Sybil, or can I give you my number? And
Sure, Anna. Just not now. We're just in the middle of the service, so
Okay.
we can.
And you know that you can join online if you like, but
but I did want to talk to you.
I was going to say, if you'd like to talk, absolutely. We'll,
yeah. So yeah, Anna, welcome, a very warm welcome. You can do this we can do these logistics afterwards. We're very warm welcome. I'm very happy you decided to join the community. I think communities are especially important. We're going to talk about communities later. That'll be my discussion with Eyal. But you're very welcome, and we're glad to have you.
Can you email me Anna's?
Sure. No problem, Sybil.
Email and send her mine. Okay.
Absolutely, Sybil.
Great.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's continue with our service with our next song, Lo Alechem. So let me.
Great.
Yes. 1 second. Okay.
Great.
Okay. Lo Alecha.
Lo Alecha, lo Hikmor. Lo Alecha, Hikmor. Lo Alecha, lo Hikmor. Lo Alecha, Hikmor. V'lo ata ben horim v'atem minena. V'lo ata ben horim v'lo ata ben horim v'atem minena. V'lo ata ben horim. Lo alecha ha'chor, lo alecha ha'chor, lo alecha ha'chor, lo alecha ha'chor.
Okay, thank you, Rebecca. We now move to our families. There are many ways to connect. There are many ways to belong. Some people find a loving partner and choose commitment. Some have children and nurture them with tender care. Others live the single life. Strangers meet strangers and become good friends. Good friends can become as close as family. Clans and tribes, nations and peoples all embrace their members and give them the security of identity and roots. The ever-changing contemporary Jewish family challenges our notion and stereotypes of a model family unit. Many Jews who have felt excluded from the tribal family in years past still hope to find their place within the Jewish community. Secular culture has new models of what constitutes a family. Single mothers and fathers, non-married adults who co-parent, gay couples, couples without children, and families of one are only some of the examples of the expanded definition of a modern family. Our congregation seeks to expand our understanding and make space for everyone. As the Jewish community grows in its awareness that Jewish families come in varied configurations, including intercultural and interracial families, so too may our institutions grow to be open to the diversity of families today. With so much emphasis on traditional families, unmarried adults often feel sidelined in Jewish communal life. As more adults remain single, let us be clear that they are a welcome, integral part of our Jewish community. Okay, we move to those in need. In this community, where we find strength and common purpose, we now turn our minds and hearts toward those who need our love, who are ill, who are lonely, who suffer pain, or have been wronged. I'm going to stop sharing. And so if you have the name of somebody who is sick or in need, now is a good time to say their name. Just unmute yourself because I can't see all of you. Okay. Well, to all of the people who are ill in this world, we wish a refuah shlema. If anyone else has a name they want to say, now's a good time. Okay. So, one second. Okay. May all who suffer know they are not alone. May they experience refuah shlema, the renewal of body and spirit.
Makom hakoah b'tokenu b'korota beracha mehabrotenu. May the source of strength that dwells so deep within us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Shalom. Makom hakoah b'tokenu b'korota beracha mehabrotenu. May those in need of healing know refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Shalom.
Thank you, Rebecca. We now move to our memorial. Let us proclaim the preciousness of life. Let us show gratitude for life by approaching it with reverence. Let us embrace the whole world even as we wrestle with its parts. Let us each in our own way take up our share in serving the world and seeking truth. May our commitment to life help us to strengthen healing of spirit and peace of mind in ourselves and others. And let us say, Lu Yahi, may it be so. I'm stopping the share. If anyone has the name of someone that has died recently or they have a yahrzeit for, now is a good time to say their name.
This week we found that a dear family friend Hugh Blair Smith died. He was instrumental in the moon landing and was an absolutely brilliant, amazing man, and we are really sad to have lost him.
I'm sorry, Amy. Anyone else, please unmute yourself if you have the name of someone.
I would like to mention my mother's cousin, Herman Kotlov, who died last month in LA. Was a very important and distinguished person, which I adored. Thank you.
Thank you, Eyal. I'd like to mention the name of my teacher's teacher, the grandmaster of my karate style, who died 5 days ago. I got to see him one last time at the karate seminar I was at the end of July. But he had a very long life, and he had many beloved students, his death was still a blow to many of us. So I'm remembering him. Anyone else has a name? Okay, so we will now return to our 1 second. Okay, we will now say our Zecher Tzaddik.
With our tears and our sorrow, we remember that Tzaddik Livracha. With our courage and our strength, we do not forget. Acts of kindness, deeds of courage will remain. Death cannot take that which is lost in our hearts. That Tzaddik Livracha. Tzaddik Livracha. Tzaddik Livracha. May the memory of good people bless our day. That Tzaddik Livracha.
Thank you, Rebecca. We now turn to our blessings over wine and challah. We celebrate the fruit of the vine and nature's gifts. As we bend nature to our pleasure, we also think about our duties as caretakers of this planet. We dedicate this wine to the joy of Shabbat, to the lives of generations past and generations to come, and to the planet that sustains us. Let us say together, Na'im ha'chaim ba'olam, Na'im ha'chaim banu, Na'im megadlei pri hagafen, l'chaim. We celebrate the life within the world. We celebrate the life within us. We cherish those who grow and tend the fruit of the vine, l'chaim, the life.
Na'im ha'chaim ba'olam, Na'im ha'chaim banu, Na'im megadlei pri hagafen, l'chaim.
Okay, we now turn to our blessing over challah. We have a challah, now is a good time. Breaking bread together is an ancient custom in many cultures. It signifies sharing, fellowship, and coming together in peace. We reenact this ritual together as a sign of our common humanity, our care for one another, and for those less fortunate than ourselves. Let us say together, Na'e matnat hamazon, Na'e amal kapenu, Na'e lechem haaretz b'te'avon. How wonderful is the gift of food! How wonderful is the work of our hands! How wonderful is the bread of the earth! We cherish those who bring forth the bread from the earth.
Na'e matnat hamazon, Nahelenu, Naelechem Haaretz, V'Te'avo.
Okay. We're at the concluding thoughts. Dominic, if you would like to read, you are invited to.
Each of us is here for a temporary stay on Earth. For what purpose, I don't know. But it is planned that we exist for all fellow humans. In the first place, for those upon whose smile and welfare or happiness depends. And the next for those unknown to us personally, but to whose destinies we are bound by the tie of sympathy. 100 times a day, I remind myself that my inner and outer life depends on the labor of others, living and dead. And I must exert myself in order to give in the measure as I have received, and I am still receiving. Albert Einstein.
Thank you, Dominic. So we'll conclude our service now with our final song. It is not one we have in the booklet, but it is a familiar one. Rebecca, go for it.
Great. This is Havenu Shalom Aleichem. Havenu Shalom Aleichem. Havenu Shalom Aleichem. Havenu Shalom Aleichem. Havenu Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem. Havenu Shalom Aleichem. Havenu Shalom Aleichem. Havenu Shalom Aleichem. Havenu Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem.
Thank you, everyone. I want to apologize for the sound quality. There is bad weather, and it is affecting our internet connections. So I apologize for if there are disruptions in the sound. It's not under our control. Okay, thank you, everyone. So right before we get to the program, just a few announcements. We're in the midst of our summer. Nonetheless, our classes continue. I teach 2 weekly classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10:30, reading the Bible through humanist eyes. We've been going for 4.5 years strong. My aim is to cover all of biblical narrative, and we're about 2/3 of the way there. So please join us whenever you want. It's ongoing. You can join off and on. That's fine. And then we have our introduction to Judaism. That is the first and third Wednesdays of each month at 7:15. That's also been going for 5 years now. And you're also welcome to join whenever you want. There's no prerequisite knowledge. If anybody wants to be more informed about anything, any topic, please feel free to join at any time. We're covering the Jewish history, and the Talmud classes are also ongoing, I believe. Is that correct, Peter?
Regarding what day?
Yeah, is it going on this summer? Or are you on a break?
It's on Monday. No, we're not on a break. It's Monday. This Monday is off because of Tisha B'Av for our teachers but it's ongoing.
Wonderful. Okay. And otherwise, our next, this is our summer Shabbat, our second summer Shabbat, our August Shabbat. Our next Shabbat will be in September, and it will be in person. I would like to, without further ado, to begin our program. We have a very special guest from Israel, my friend Eyal. Eyal and I are rabbinic colleagues. He and I share what we call an alma mater. We became rabbis through the same institution. We are both humanist rabbis. and we both graduated from the Israeli affiliate of the International Institute for Secular Humanistic Judaism, and which is called Tmura. We also share the distinction. He is the head of the Association for Humanist Rabbis in Israel. It's called Merchav, Moetzet Rabbanim Chilonit B'Israel. And I'm the president right now. It rotates. I'm the president of the Association for Humanist Rabbis in the United States. But Eyal is beyond that. He is most proud to be a father and a grandfather of 3 and married to Michal. And so we are so delighted to have you. We are going to talk today about the nature of secular Jewish communities in the United States and in Israel, differences, similarities, what we can learn from each other. It's going to be in an interview format. If you have questions, I'll ask you to either put them in the chat or wait till after the interview. There will be a time for questions. So the topic today is Jewish communities in Israel and the United States. We have a guest from Israel. I'm sure many of you share concern about about what's happening in Israel. Israel has been at war for many months now, but that is not the topic of our conversation. It's not that I'm saying it can't be brought up, but it's not that won't be our focus for our discussion. So thank you. With that in mind, Eyal, would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, you quite introduced me.
So, would you like to say anything further?
I'm very glad to be here. 9 years ago, I had a thought that secular Jews should also have community life. And it happened that I founded the community in Modi'in Maccabim Reut, and I lead it for the last 9 years. And we are having Kabbalat Shabbat every week, and we have, of course, we celebrate the Jewish life cycle and the Jewish calendar cycle, and we are trying to be as active as we can and to be a platform for humanistic, secular Jews who want to engage and want to actually celebrate their Judaism without giving up their humanistic values. So,
thank you, Eyal. So, just like a few general questions about Merchav. Merchav is basically it's not quite the Association of Humanist Rabbis. It's the Council of Secular Rabbis in Israel. That's the translation of it. So how many rabbis, how many secular rabbis are there in Israel, Eyal?
Well, I think there were 49 who were ordained, or 48. Yes, either 48 or 49, and two of our rabbis are gone, have passed away. So we are 47, I guess, or 46. And there are 32 rabbis who pay annually for Merchav. So they are active. There are 32 active rabbis.
So just as a contrast, the size of I, as the president of the association over here for humanist rabbis, I would say that our membership and activity is about just half of what is going on in Israel, I would say that I want to be considered an honorary member of Merchav as well, Eyal, because I feel my ties to Tmura are very strong. I know I never felt right to pay dues because it was the council of rabbis in Israel, Beit Israel, and so I felt like, okay, let me be a member here and not in Israel. But nonetheless, I feel so glad that such a body exists. So we're going to talk a little bit about what rabbis humanist rabbis do in Israel, because it's somewhat different than what we do here in the United States, right? Right, Eyal?
I think that the focus on community is much stronger in the U.S. Although I am a rabbi of a community, but there are very few of those. Mostly rabbis who conduct ceremonies, and sometimes they're engaged in political action, mostly municipal political action, less national. Yes, I think that's the main things that rabbis are doing. Mm-hmm.
I was always impressed. I was always impressed that in conversation with Israeli colleagues, that you were very focused on education. Like, there were a lot of people that are teachers or involved in creating curricula for schools, or just trying to affect the way things are taught in schools in general. Advocacy of that nature. Is that my perception a correct one?
There are some rabbis who do that, like Oren and I forgot. And there is another rabbi who's doing it, and there are rabbis who are educators. It's true. There is also an institute for secular Jewish education, and some rabbis, and also people who were not ordained, but there were students in Tmura. They're also there in Machon Hagut. Yes, there are, of course. Mm-hmm.
So one thing that part of our curriculum in Israel was we had to really we were asked like, what is a rabbi? What is the meaning of a secular rabbi? This was something that we were constantly asked to answer, right? You as well, yeah. You were somewhat before me, right?
Well, it's kind of an oxymoron, because it sounds, in Israel, of course, it is very strongly related with religion. And when I started my studies in Tmura, it also felt not right to me in the beginning. It felt something odd. But then, as we got along with the studies and we saw what are we covering, actually, what are we doing? And we are teaching Hebrew tradition, or Hebrew literature, Hebrew culture. We are conducting ceremonies like bar mitzvah, brit milim, funerals, weddings. We also conduct Jewish calendar cycle, and we lead communities. And there is no other word in Hebrew that describes all of this together except Rav, which is a rabbi. So that's the only word that is fit.
Yeah. It was always interesting to me here when I'm called a rabbi. People pigeonhole me, which means like they have all kinds of associations of what I do, and lots of what they assume is actually correct. Meaning, I'm a congregational rabbi. I do pastoral care, I lead services, I officiate. So over here it actually means something very similar. Like I'm like a conservative or Reform Jew would understand what that I serve as a rabbi, and so. But in Israel, it's really, it's different because, as you say, rabbis are so associated with, very religious communities, and but yes, you do all the same things. So it's really, it's really very interesting to me. But there seems to be something distinct. There seems to be something unique that we do as secular rabbis that is not done, I think, among religious rabbis. What do you have? Like, what do we do? What do we offer that is distinct from an Orthodox rabbi, for example?
Well, it's very different because of our secular approach to life. And actually, I'm not a rabbi of my community. I'm a rabbi in my community, because we believe in sovereignty, and we believe that people are deciding their own decisions. Of course, they can come and ask for advice, but they can ask anyone for advice. It's not necessarily a rabbi.
Yeah.
Some cases we know a little bit more because we learned, so it's okay. But it of course it doesn't. They're not obligated to do what we are saying or something like that. It's everyone is sovereign to himself.
Yeah. No, that is a very important distinction, because, and I think even here, I think that there is more of that in Israel than here, because even here, I can tell you, rabbis are looked at, even a rabbi like myself, are looked at as authorities. Like we know and we can tell people what to do. You know, and I think that's not true at City Congregation in particular, but you know, I try not to tell people what to do. I give informed advice is what I say it, how I say it. But this really comes from the notions of Orthodox Judaism and halacha, like, you know, that there is a certain way of doing things, and that is the way it must be done. And the rabbi is knowledgeable about about what those things are, and that's what's you know, it's hard for people to entirely wrap themselves around that idea. Like, we're not, you know, we're a secular Jewish movement in that there is no one right way of doing things. We can offer informed advice, but we can't. But we're not you know, an authority of this is the way it should be done. This is the way it can be done. Is more the way I think we approach it.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, I think there is even more of that in Israel, just simply because of, you know, because of the way secular Judaism, communal secular Judaism arose in Israel and the United States is very, very different. And I think that kind of informs the way our community life works. So to that end, like, why don't you tell us about a typical Kabbalat Shabbat? Yeah, like what does a Kabbalat Shabbat look like for you?
So first of all, I want to thank you for the Kabbalat Shabbat that you invited me to. It was very nice, and felt very wanted, and it was very warm and welcoming.
Thank you.
I think the main difference evolves from the fact that we are Hebrew speakers, and therefore we have many texts that we use and we change, and we are using a lot of Israeli poets and Israeli scholars. So our Siddur, I guess, has much more in Hebrew to offer. We sing a lot. For us, we are not so good in Zoom. We are actually meeting live each week, and this is something that we have to learn. It can let other people see what we're doing and participate. Even nowadays, it's not what we do. But in a lot of the ceremony that you conducted was, I mean, the motifs were there as we do. It's the same motifs, but maybe the variety, because we are Hebrew speakers and have that. I think that's the main difference. Yes.
So is it different each time? You know, like, do you have like a different text, different service each time?
So in the beginning, it was more of something that we thought is right. We thought that it has to be different every time, and we printed out pages for every Kabbalat Shabbat. And then I think about 4 years ago, we saw that we are recycling not quite most of our songs. Of course, we have some things different, but we have a lot in common. And so we had it all in a Siddur.
Yeah.
We have a Siddur of about 40 pages, something like that. And actually we pick from there, but still I think almost every Kabbalat Shabbat, we also have a new page with one song or one piece of literature that we think it's more appropriate this time. But most of it is in our Siddur.
So you actually have like us, you have your your Siddur or liturgy book. So good. And is that true for the other Israeli communities? Or do they do it each differently? Some of them.
It's very different from one community to another. I know that Shlomit in El Tavor she has also a Siddur. I think that Iris is conducting it differently, but she has something permanent, but she changes a lot. And well, it varies. It varies. There is no one way of doing it, and actually, even the same community does it differently over the years. So it can go from one place to another.
So I just wanted to talk. Sorry if I'm going to be, in the course of interview, just giving some explanations. I think, as I said before, one of the reasons why secular communities in Israel and secular communities here are so different is because of how they came to be, how they arose. So the history over here, we have a founding figure here. He was a Reform rabbi, Sherwin Wein, and he helped establish the first secular humanistic communities. And it very much was at the beginning informed by how a Reform service looked like. So meeting on Friday nights instead of on Yom Shabbat, or using the patterns that you had, the way the rabbi functioned, and then the other big influence was probably Reconstructionist Judaism, Judaism without the supernatural, that it was arising at about the same time as humanistic Judaism. And so it was really informed by denominational Judaism, what we have in the United States, like the conservative, Reform, Reconstructionist. But that is not true for secular Jewish communities in Israel. Can you perhaps say something about how it arose? Like what was the catalyst, or what pushed people to create these types of communities and this type of effort?
Yeah, well, first of all, things in Israel are really very different. The climate is very different. Mostly, I think, because Orthodox Judaism is in power in Israel and is connected to the regime. And actually, a lot of Jewish life is conducted legally only by Orthodox rabbinate, which make us illegal in a way, because what we do when we are marrying a couple, it's not legal in Israel. And the reason I'm pointing it out is because a lot of secular people in Israel are much more against than are for. Okay, they are against the Orthodox more than they are for secularism. And for me, I understood it when I started studying in Tmura. I didn't understand that before. Actually, I didn't pay much attention to my Jewish identity before. But when I did, and I started to study and met our founding father, Yaakov Malkin, and of course, by the way, Sherwin Wein is considered to be also our founding father, because actually he founded this current in Judaism that Sivan followed him. Sivan is our dean, and she was actually the first Israeli ordained secular humanist Reform rabbi. And so people come a lot of times in my community also, when they start hearing about us, it starts with more anti-religious than pro-secular. But then in the community, of course, we don't have anything anti-anyone. We are doing it only pro-secular.
Yeah.
Only the notion comes from another place, and people are they're not coming from religious background. sometimes they can be traditional, it's true, but they're not. So our connection to reform or conservative is very weak. It's not something that is you don't see it strongly in the prayers that we have or in the siddur that we have. It's not that we are far away from them, by the way. Actually, next Monday we are going to have Tisha B'Av with a Reform congregation and with a conservative congregation, and we're going to be together because Tisha B'Av is something that we can do actually together with Orthodox if they want, because it's not a religious ceremony. It's much more.
Day of mourning, yeah. It's a day of national mourning, so you can so everybody can mourn. It's not relegated, not specific. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. No, thank you, Eyal. This is very important to understand. It's just the way secular Judaism is in Israel. It's really somewhat under threat. Meaning, it's not. That's not true in the United States. The majority of Jews in the United States are secular or close to it, and so and so people come with a lot of baggage in Israel. Like when they seek out secular communities, there's an anti-religious, deep anti-religious sentiment that you have among people.
True. Not in the community. When they come to the community, I think most of them understand that actually the same way that we believe in our beliefs, religious people are entitled to believe their own beliefs. Yeah. And of course, there are political views that get inside, like the ultra-Orthodox that are not going to the army, or the Orthodox that are controlling our judicial life. For instance, my daughter and my son were married by a secular rabbi, and therefore they are bachelors in their ID card. They're not considered married, although they have children. Yeah. So it's a little bit awkward. Yes.
I mean that's the reason. By the way, lots of people, the secular people, choose to get married in another country and then register themselves in Israel because they want to bypass the Orthodox rabbinate. That's true in my case. Like, I chose to get married in the United States and not to get married in Israel because I did not want to involve the Orthodox rabbinate in my marriage. So yes, I mean it's a very different atmosphere in Israel when things are when there is no separation of church and state like we have in the United States, where we have there's a strong it's under threat here too, but the threat is not of the same caliber. The United States is secularizing. We're in a process of rapid secularization in the United States. That's not the process that is transpiring in Israel. And so it's not so, more people are becoming secular in the United States, and in Israel, the opposite is true. More people, there's a stasis of sorts. I don't know. I don't know the exact numbers.
There is a demographic threat. Yes, there is a demographic threat.
Yeah, there's a demographic threat. And just like, so numerically, though, the secular Jews still constitute the majority at this point, or is that not the case?
No.
Yes, I think. Well, it depends how you count the traditional Jews, but with traditional and secular, we are about 60 to 70%. If you cut out the traditionals, I don't know the exact number of only secular. It's less than half, but it's still the largest part of all other beliefs.
Yeah, what we call you're still a plurality. In what we, that's what we would call it in the United States. So yeah, that's a little bit about the nature of secular Judaism in Israel. So we can see that it just arises from a different place. So now I want to segue to something a little bit different over here. So a big part of our service, though, we kind of don't do it so much in Zoom services because it's a little difficult to control discussion. Is we talk a lot about ethical dilemmas. It's part of our service. It's part of we have topics of discussion, and we have people give various opinions, and I was wondering if that is, because we just see that as part of our humanist, just interacting with our humanist value system. So I was wondering if, you have discussions about ethical dilemmas, as part of your service. Is that something that you do?
Well, it's not part of the service, but of course it is. We have in our Bet Midrash, we are dealing with our with ethical problems, and it's.
Sorry, Eyal, you were muted now. Eyal, are you still with us? You just are muted.
Is that okay now?
Yeah, I hear you now. We don't see you, but we hear you.
Just a minute. Let me fix it. Just a minute.
No problem. Okay, are you okay?
Better? Is that better now?
Yeah, we hear you fine. Are you able to share your camera or not?
Yes. Just a minute. I'm sorry. It's
no problem.
Okay. Yes. Now it's
we
okay.
see you now. Okay.
Sorry. So.
No. So yeah, we were talking about ethical dilemmas. Like, is that part of your communal life? Yeah.
So, as I said, in Bet Midrash, we are raising ethical dilemmas and talk about them. And in Merchav, we are also sometimes engage ourselves in ethical dilemmas, whether it's with the ceremonies that we conduct, whether it's the question of converting to Judaism, which actually we don't call it converting. It's assimilation into Judaism, or
we also use a distinct vocabulary around these things.
Yeah, because people do not change. Actually, they just accept what they want to accept.
Yeah, so we actually use it. I'm not a person who really is. I appreciate the distinctions, but often we use the term adoption. I find adoption to be a little bit confusing because that is something quite distinct. But that was what Sherwin Wine suggested to use. But it came from the same kind of idea. Like you're not a totally different person, right? So
exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
And actually, once you say that you want to become a Jew, then you're a Jew. Unless, if you really mean that, that's it. The problem in Israel, of course, that it can is the citizenship, because if you do that, so we say yes, it's true, but we are doing it only for Israeli citizens. Otherwise, we get into a
lot of trouble.
Judicial problems.
Yeah. You're always. Yeah, it's a little bit what we would say racy in Israel. You guys are always like, have legal threats against you in ways that we can't really, we can't really imagine here. I'm not worried here that I'm going to be sued by the state or so police is going to walk into my service and try to arrest me. But I know these things have happened in Israel. Like rabbis have been arrested.
Well, yes, but I think one of the main reasons is that when you accept someone as a Jew, he doesn't have any more privileges, and when in Israel he is privileged.
A Jew is privileged in Israel. Yes.
Yeah. So it is different, and I'm sorry that Judaism, or let's say Orthodox Judaism, is racist, and it's true. It's not something that you choose. It's you were born to to a Jewish mother. That's
okay, well, I also wanted to offer you the opportunity, Eyal. I know, like, you've been visiting in the United States right now, and I got the opportunity to sit down with you. I just wondered, like, you've traveled to several communities, not humanist communities, but to other communities as well. I just wanted to ask, like, do you have any questions about how it's very different over here? Do you have any questions about how all this works?
Actually, it was. I have a cousin who is a rabbi in a Reform congregation in San Diego. And when I explained to her what I'm doing, she said, "Well, you're exactly like me. That's the same. The Reform and the same." And so I had to stress and tell her, "Listen, when you think I'm following a mitzvah, it's not because I'm following a mitzvah. It's because I believe in the value in these values. It's different. Even if you think it seems very likely, it's not the same." But yes, I was actually in 2 Reform ceremonies the last 2 weeks, and in Israel, I haven't been in a service, in a Kabbalat Shabbat service of a Reform congregation. I've been in other services, not a Kabbalat Shabbat, and I see a very big difference between the service that I saw today here and the Reform service. The Reform service is religious in all mean, it's okay, but it's not the same as us. What I also see is that in the U.S., a lot of Jews are going to a community. Although I know that most of the Jews are unaffiliated, it's still the congregations that I've been to were few hundreds to few thousand of people and families. Actually, I think it's 2,500 families in the San Diego. And our community is very small. We have 43 members who pay annual fee, and we have, let's say, 170 on our distribution list, something like that. So we are very small in numbers. But what I think can be very useful, and I think can be very nice, is if we can cooperate and do things together. And
I mean, absolutely. I'm very excited to think of ways we can partner with the other big center of secular Judaism in the world, which is Israel. And I've long thought that we should do that, considering that I'm a graduate of an Israeli institution. So yeah, I think just hearing what your was it your cousin who's a Reform rabbi?
Yes.
Yeah. What she said, like, "Oh, you're the same as us." I think what she meant was in terms of the value system. Now there's a liberal value system that is shared by quite by a large section of liberal Judaism, which includes some of conservative Judaism, Reform Judaism, Reconstructionist Judaism, some part of Renewal Judaism, where it's basically a liberal value system that is informed very much by humanist values. So I think that's what she meant by the same. In terms of the difference is that in the the Reform liturgy is a religious liturgy and uses God, and we don't. But interestingly enough, having spoken to many Reform Jews in my life, I would say, I was speaking to somebody who was our Sunday school teacher. She goes to a very large Reform congregation here in New York City, and she told me, 70% of my congregation is atheist. The congregants. Yeah, and it's people value affiliation in communities over here, and so affiliate, even if they are atheist or agnostic or don't buy into the religious language, they will join religious communities because it's important to join communities. And so I think that that's what's interesting, and also that there's actually quite a bit in common between liberal Jewish communities. In the end, we do things differently, but we share quite a bit in terms of values. right? And so that's why I think like you can, you know, you were saying that Tisha B'Av, the national day of mourning that we have next week, is something that you can do together with a Reform congregation and a conservative congregation in Israel, right? It's because it's you know, I'm not sure you could do it with an Orthodox congregation, but maybe
we did actually a few years ago. Only the situation in Israel is so tensed right now, and most of the Orthodox they have a tendency to be right wing, and they were afraid to cooperate with us because they were afraid that they have some extremes that will pop out during Tisha B'Av, and that's why they asked not to do it. But we did it for 4 times, 4 years. We did with the Orthodox congregation before things were so tensed as they are, as you all
I would imagine
very well know. Yes, I wanted to add another thing. You know that from what I see, American Jewry was feeling very safe and very did not have any concern of anti-Semitism until I think last year or maybe 2 years ago. And I think what happens in the world and in the US and in Israel right now actually shows us how do we, the Israelis, need you in the States, and how you in the States need us as a strong Israeli and safe Israel. And I think
we share a value system that goes beyond borders, and you know, I think that should be reflected in you know, in our partnerships and our strength of connection. Absolutely. So there was a question in the chat just to define some of the terms that we've been using. I'm sorry if I have not defined what a Kabbalat Shabbat is. A Shabbat evening service. A Siddur is a liturgy book, the kind of type of liturgy book that we are using. A Beit Midrash is a place of a study where people come together to study Jewish texts. You know, so those are some of the terms that we use. I apologize if those were unfamiliar to people.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. No, that definitely is my responsibility. I'm so used to these terms because I go between 2 languages all the time. Okay, so I think you know, Eyal, this is really wonderful. I enjoyed it so much. It's such a great opportunity, and I'm really hoping that we have opportunities to you know, to partner and you know, and just strengthen our connection. And so now we're going to open it up to questions. I'm going to call on people. So if I don't see you, please say so in the chat. I see Dahlia and Howard. Dahlia, do you have a question for Eyal?
Yeah. So more just to continue some of the discussion, when you're talking about the fact that so many Reform Jews are actually atheists, and that the motivation in the United States is to join a Jewish community, and that's a lot of the reason why people join both Reform and humanistic communities, and that's very different in Israel. I guess my question is, a big motivation for me was to have a service where it's say what you mean and mean what you say. Was a very big deal to me. I wasn't raised religiously. I went to Reform. I went to Reconstructionist. It was nice. I liked it. But this is much more inspiring. Is that something for at least the weddings, the funerals, the bar mitzvahs, that is big for secular humanistic Jews? Or is it really, we're the secular Israelis and we don't want to be dominated by those Orthodox people?
Well, I think the motif that you mentioned is very strong also in Israel. And to say what you think, and to do what you say is very, very important. And actually, in a lot of ways, it distinguishes us from the others. I think that we are quite small in Israel, and that's why people less know about us and know more of reform options. Also in the States, that's why atheistic people are going to reform. It's not their natural affiliation, but that's the only option that they know. So they do it, and it's very nice for them, so they stay. We are not the only way that secular Jews can express themselves. There are other secular approaches, which we find, actually also in my community, there are people who are traditional, and they come to our community because they feel at home, but they do believe in God, and they do believe that maybe they hope for things. And still, our congregation, or actually our community, is open to anyone. And we will not say to anyone, please don't come. There's nothing like that. So yes, there are also some traditional Jews who come, and also some who call themselves secular, but see secularism different than what we see. We usually see secularism as 4 approaches to God, right? Either an atheistic approach, which has man invented God, or the agnostic approach, which says that we don't know, or the pantheistic, which says that God is the universe itself, or deistic notion that says that God created the world but is not longer affecting it. So that's actually the 4 beliefs that we are holding in, but our people may hold also other beliefs.
Thank you, Eyal. Yes, we have a spectrum in our communities as well around this. And yes, we don't check beliefs at the door, as it were. But people. I think I would say that the greatest distinction that I found, say, between Reform Judaism and our Judaism is exactly what Dalia was talking about. We say what we mean, and we don't transvalue. We don't look at the words that say something very different and use them as a catalyst or something for something else. We try to be direct in that way, and there's no gap between what is written and what we say and what we believe. And that, I think, is that distinguishes us. That's a very big distinction between us and the rest of the Jewish movements. We don't find that in Reconstructionist, Reform, Conservative Judaism. It's very that is a distinction. And I appreciate. Thank you, Dalia, for saying that. So I see three more people have questions. I'll go by the order I see. I see first Rich, then Dominic, then Anna. So I'll start with you, Rich.
Eyal, my impression is that a lot of Israelis see themselves as being fully Jewish simply by being Israelis, and that the community there is more divided between people who are more or less Orthodox in their beliefs and practices, and people who think that just by dint of being Israeli, they are as Jewish as they need to be. And I wonder if that's also your perception, and if so, what is it that pushes them into the secular humanist communities? Is it community, or is it something else?
Well, I must confess, Rich, that this was exactly my belief until I understood differently about 10 years ago. And as an Israeli, you don't feel any threat to your Judaism. That's true. But when I think about my future generations, when I think about my descendants, my children, my grandchildren, and I want them to hold a moral view of the world, and I want them to have the Jewish assets that I believe we have, then I find that we do have to get into it. It's not something that is done by itself. And I reached this understanding while I was leading delegations to Poland. and actually started talking to youth about Judaism, about their Israeli understanding. And through them, actually, through talking to them, I understood that I have to sharpen it also by myself. And I think that was one of the seeds. And since then, I became a, a professional Jew. But you are right. I think that's one of the threats on Israel Jewry, because I'm not sure I'm saying it right, evasive, or something that you do not see, but it's underneath. It can make a very big change in later years, and that's why we do have to work it out, and we do have to think about it, and actually also enjoy it very much. But I hope I answered you.
Thank you, Eyal. Thank you, Rich. We have Dominic, then Anna, then Sybil. Dominic.
You've actually produced more rabbis than you have members. You've told about 43 members in your community or in the whole of Israel.
No, I was talking only about my community. No, there are other communities. There are many communities, not many, but there are about 10 communities. There are a few hundreds of people in those communities. But as we said, most of the rabbis are not running communities. They're doing different things, like ceremonies, dealing with education, dealing with political involvement in the cities, that sort of things. Did I answer you, Dominic?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you, Dominic. Anna, you're next.
Yes, first I just wanted to say it was interesting to hear what Rabbi Eyal has to say, because I was and still am thinking along the lines that Rich commented. If you're in Israel, you're already a Jew with your whole community, and who knows, if I was in Israel, where I lived for a while, I may not have joined this community. So one is the comment and one is the question. The comment was, I was surprised when Rabbi Eyal mentioned your cousin, saying that it's the same, the reform is the same. If it was the same, I mean, I have a Reform synagogue around the corner from me. The big difference is that the entire Reform service and the rabbi speeches, everything has God in it.
True.
Every bracha, every prayer, every, so that is a huge, huge difference for me. And I was brought up in an Orthodox community, in an Orthodox family. My question is, which sort of follows, I've been curious, since God is not really present in the, this in the secular liturgy and the whole phase, which is why I'm there. Well, never mind what I am. So I've been curious about what is the education of the education and ordination, what does that consist of for a secular humanistic rabbi? My understanding, rabbi in Hebrew means teacher. I see a rabbi maybe not as, since I'm no longer Orthodox, not as authority, but especially in these times, I am looking for leadership in a rabbi.
Yeah, I mean, we both can answer this. We were
about what the background. I mean, what did they teach you? If they take God out of it, what? I'm just curious. What?
I'll try to answer you, Anna. I'll try to answer you. First of all, God is, it does exist. It's a very important literature figure. And in a way, it's even an historical figure because for 3,000 years, Jews believed that it exists. So it doesn't matter whether he exists or not, we are referring to it. And the Bible is full with God. And we read the Bible. I think it's one of the most important literature that we have. And so it's not that it's not there. It's just that it's made by man, and it's a literature figure, but it does exist. Now, I think the main thing that we are focusing in is ethical issues that we want to have our, let's say that our tradition is a source of inspiration and not source of commandment. And a big part of our studies is looking into those traditions and understand what do we take from it and what do we prefer not to take from it. So it will be involving Jewish philosophy, it will be involving Hebrew literature and performing ceremonies in a way that will be exactly as Dalia said before, that we say what we think and we do what we say. And this is something that we focus on. So it will be working about the Jewish life cycle and Jewish calendar cycle, ethical problems, ethical issues, and Jewish and Hebrew literature. That's the main thing. And I think I just want to comment on to say about my cousin, who is, you're right, God is very vivid and very alive in all their prayers and singing, but I think she's not aware of it. It's so obvious to her that she was not aware of it. She actually attended to our service in Israel, and she was very thrilled by the service. And still, that's the way she thinks. So it's okay for her to think so. We think that we are very different, as you said. I agree with you totally.
Yeah.
Did I answer you?
Yeah. I mean, I'll let me just add to that. I can relate to what I think you're right about your cousin. You know, until I was in my mid-20s, I grew up in an Orthodox environment like Anna, and I just, for me, it was I didn't notice. It was just there. It was like, it's not, I didn't think of it as a big deal. I knew the liturgy by heart. I said it, but then when you step back and you say, wait a minute, what am I saying? Then you understand how intrinsic, how such a like a fundamental part of liturgy God is, and how wrapped up Jewish liturgy is in God, and that's why you need a deliberate stepping back and re-examining, and so I think that's what some of what we do in our curriculum, is a deliberate stepping back and re-examining, and then reformulating. Well, how do we want to do this, or what are some avenues that we can pursue? I shared some of my education with Eyal. I got ordained, through my final ordination was through Tamura, but I studied here in the United States too. And there's a somewhat different approach because it's a different secular type of secular Judaism. We're gonna move on to Sybil. You were next.
Yeah, I was just wondering how the general community in Israel views your movement. Is it considered, strange? If a couple are members of your community? Do their children become members of your community, or do they shy away from it? And we're always puzzled by the fact that polls always show that, and I think someone mentioned it, that in the United States, perhaps a majority of Jews are actually atheist, and yet our movement really is comparatively very, very small. And we have difficulty attracting people to join our different congregations. And in a way that's puzzling because, people believe what we believe. And it sounds like it's the same thing in Israel where, I think what the majority of people are actually atheists, secular. And yet your movement does not, each of your communities is not very large and you don't have many communities. So how do you explain that? And does what I'm talking about happens in the United States, is that mirrored in Israel? And how is the movement in general seen? Is it just seen as a group of strange people, or do people understand what you're about?
Well, actually, I think the people who understand us most are Orthodox and Reform and Conservative that have communities and understand the need in community. Secular people that don't go to any community actually sees us as strange people, seculars. And we have also a problem with the authorities. I live in Modi'in, and our community is in Modi'in, and the Modi'in municipality sees us as a group of friends, and we should assemble in one of the houses of our friends. And they don't understand, why do we need a place to hold our ceremonies? And actually, religious people and religious communities understand us better, and even they told us more than once, listen, we can help, we can tell them, we can explain to them why it's needed. And it's something that we are very young in comparing to other communities, and it's something that we have to be more mature, and we have to get to the next stage. Actually, it's different in kibbutzim and with the rural settlements. There they have more recognition, and they work, I think, better. In the cities, it's different. It's hard. And also, you asked about the second generation. Well, unfortunately, I'm one of the youngest in my community, and the community is, most of them are between 60 to 80, and very few are beneath 60. And we were with families and with some children in the beginning, but it was a very small number of families, something around 3 or 4 families, not more. And they felt that they don't have friends. The children did not have enough friends there because they were in various ages. And now we have one guy who is a rabbi in Israel. Tzemach, you know him, Rotem. And and Rotem is a member of our community for all the 9 years. He's less than 40 years old. And now he is more active. And I hope that through him, we'll have also second generation and families. But this is a very big challenge that we are dealing with. And right now, we are not succeeding in it. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Eyal. So, friends, we're already after 9. So I'm going to conclude, and I'm going to give it an opportunity. Does anybody have any final questions? Like, does any? Okay, so I'm going to say thank you to Eyal, and I'm going to let's give him a hand. Thank you. I'm so glad we could arrange this. This was an eye-opener for us. We had a fair number of people who watch this on YouTube as well, and that when we have virtual meetings, we have people who log on to Zoom and the people who watch virtually. We're very grateful to you. It's eye-opening to us that there are different types of secular Judaism. We're very used to the secular Judaism that we have over here. I hope that our communities can collaborate, and I'm going to actively work to make that the case. It was just a delight to, I've known you for a number of years. It's a delight to host you over here, and we wish you and your communities all the best in the very complicated place that you are in Israel right now.
I second that as a member of our congregation. This was fascinating and wonderful, and I certainly hope that we do continue contact and learn from each other. And I wish you much luck in as we need it also in attracting people and showing secular Jews that they can have a home and be with people sometimes who share their worldview.
Okay.
Thank you. I agree totally, and I thank you very much for hosting me. And it was very nice knowing you, and from knowing Tzemach, and I know that we will manage to do very beautiful things, and we'll have some nice things together.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.